Beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, creams, beans, creams, beans, 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 creams, potatoes, tomatoes. Chicken, turkey, chicken, turkey. Beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes. Chicken, turkey. You made it. You made it. You made it. You made it.
Welcome to Generation Savage. To all the dudes and dudettes out there.
Sick.
And we have Frank again.
Hey everyone, it is such a pleasure to be here.
So Frank is moving back to Arizona soon. And so we're going to let him do his dream topic on this show that he's been begging us to do since forever, which is
Disney movies. We're talking about Disney movies for like next 17 hours.
Oh my god. All right. So
And India's here too.
yeah, India's here for the first time in forever.
No,
What does a Disney
last
song
episode I was here.
Yeah, okay.
I was dying when you had Frank and Jordy here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, you were also lazy that day too.
I was dying that day.
All right. So, Frank, I'm going to let you control this episode. So, you're hijacking this episode
Excellent.
to talk about Disney.
I'm so excited to be doing this. So we're going to be talking about Walt Disney Animation Studios as well as Disney Pixar Animation Studios. Now, they are two different animation studios, but both owned by the Walt Disney Company, right? And back in 2007, John Lasseter, Disney bought Pixar in about, 2006 maybe? And then John Lasseter took over as the chief creative officer for both Pixar as well as what was formerly known as Walt Disney Feature Animation and is now known as Disney Animation Studios. Of course, there's been, I'm looking at the list here, 56 full-length films done by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Those range from Snow White to Moana. And we are getting ready on June 15th for the 20th Pixar movie. It's ranging from Toy Story to
so, what's the
Pixar
20th going to be?
It's going to be The Incredibles 2.
Oh, great.
The Incredibles 2,
Yeah.
which I know a lot of folks are excited about.
Yes, because Incredibles 1 was amazing and underrated and should have got a second one a long time ago.
And I've fallen asleep every time I've seen The Incredibles.
Frank, that's your own problem because The Incredibles is fantastic.
Incredibly boring.
No, it's really...
No, I don't want to diss on anyone's favorite film. I completely understand what that's like. But, okay, so
just so the people that are listening know. So, obviously, you can tell. With me, with Beyonce, is Frank with Disney. Like, he's obsessed. And, he stands for Disney.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
He does.
Okay, I wanted to ask you guys. Now, y'all are like 20 years younger than me.
Yep.
What was the first Disney film that you either saw, in the theaters as well as or at home? What was the first Disney movie you remember watching, period?
Well, okay, so my first Disney movie that I've ever seen, I have to believe, is Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Which came out in 1994.
Yeah. And then I saw my first Disney movie in theaters was Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I believe, was like 2007 or something like that.
Finding Nemo was released, and I'm just consulting.
2003,
I was going to say 2003.
Yeah, okay. Man.
Yep, 2003, May 30th.
Good memory.
India, what was your first Disney movie, period, as well as in theaters?
I think it was the same as Johnny's.
Okay, Lion King.
Yeah.
And now, did you see Lion King during a re-release, or was it, or just on VHS, DVD?
I think VHS.
Yeah, VHS. That was definitely, yeah.
Okay. Now, the first Disney movie I remember watching was on VHS. We had just gotten a VCR. It was about 1985, and I was about 5 years old. It was Robin Hood, and I just kept wanting to rent Robin Hood over and over and over again. I actually didn't see, so during the 80s, Disney actually wasn't very popular.
Yeah.
They weren't putting out a lot of hits during the 80s. There's only a small number of movies that came out. So but there were other animation studios. Don Bluth had led those. Don Bluth was a former animator from Disney who left Disney in the late 70s and started his own production company. So he did films like An American Tail and Land Before Time. That's what was popular during the 80s. So I actually didn't see my first Disney movie in a theater until Beauty and the Beast in 1991. Although I do have a vague recollection of seeing Winnie the Pooh in the theater, but I can't find anything that shows that.
Winnie the Pooh in the theater.
I can't
That's
find.
old.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
I think it was a re-release, but I can't find anything saying that it was re-released in the 80s.
Yeah.
Although I do remember going and seeing like a red balloon and this Winnie the Pooh and being, why am I watching this movie around all these strangers? I don't know who they are. So, so yeah, those were also during the 80s, cable was coming about and the Disney Channel came out, and it was a premiere channel, so that meant you had to pay extra to get it, like an HBO. And so they would just play all of their movies and animated shorts over and over again. So Disney is the type of company that...
I mean, Disney started out as... when the film industry was doing blocking system, they were making small animated shorts before the movie. And then Walt Disney wanted to do Snow White, which was a huge task and basically almost made or did make Disney go bankrupt for a while until... animation became a hit. But I remember I'm doing film studies right now, so that's how I know this.
Yeah, it was called Walt's Folly because they thought it was going to flop.
In the premiere, everyone in the audience was crying when, like, at the end. And I mean, Snow White's an intense movie. Like, it's intense as far as it was also one of the first colored films, because it was drawn and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But
Snow White was definitely the first one, and it came out during what was called the Golden Age of Disney. So the Golden Age of Disney included these 5 films, and I'll list them, and then I want you all to tell me what your favorite one is of those and why. So Snow White was first in 1937.
First of all, this is probably going to be the best show of Generation Savage because it's actually planned somewhat. Because the people that be listening to this know that this show is not planned whatsoever.
So funny. Okay, so Snow White in 1937, followed by Pinocchio in 1940. We had Fantasia also in 1940, Dumbo in 1941, and Bambi in 1942. So again, Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. India, what's your favorite of those 5?
Probably Dumbo.
And why is that? He's adorable, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see an elephant fly?
I like Snow White because it was the most of a drama. I think it's a strong tie between Pinocchio and Disney because I felt like that those were the most dramatic. I'm trying to remember Fantasia, but yeah, I think Snow White just because how dramatic it was.
Yeah, and Snow White definitely was dramatic. Yeah. And Snow White and Pinocchio, I felt like had some of the most beautiful animation, very, very, very detailed. Yeah. They were quite painterly. But of those 5, I would put my top 2 would be Pinocchio and then Bambi, but also Snow White. It's hard to not love Snow White. And Dumbo, I loved Dumbo as a kid, but Dumbo, you can tell the quality of Dumbo was a lot less. They needed to save a little bit of money after 3 very expensive films. And Fantasia is just great too. It's a lot of young kids think it's boring. Yeah, it's classical music and animation, but those are the 5. Hard to not like any of those. So going into the 40s, we had the World War. World War II was happening during the 40s. And Disney, needed to save money, and they were also too busy actually doing animation for the government. So they were contracted to do propaganda work, basically, for the government. So they put out, during the 40s, a bunch of what they call anthology films. So these are actually shorts, animated shorts, that they just threw together into a longer film. Most people don't even recognize that these are full-length features. They just know them as the shorts. But I'll name them and let me know if you recognize any of these titles. So In 1942, they came out with Saludos Amigos, and this was a film that was done where Walt and his animators went down to South America to do some research, and they ended up doing a film based off of their travels there. And then they did a follow-up, The Three Caballeros, in 1944, also based off of those travels. You probably recognize those with, Donald wearing a sombrero and stuff.
Yeah.
Like this, right? Make Mine Music, which that title probably means nothing to anyone, but Make Mine Music in 1946. Fun and Fancy Free, that featured 2 shorts, one of them being the famous short with Mickey and the Beanstalk, where he plays Jack.
So Mickey did get his own.
Well, it was a short, but
Yeah, because I was like, did Mickey ever get a feature-length film?
No,
He was the short guy.
Yeah, he was always in shorts.
Yeah.
Then in 48, there was Melody Time, and in 49, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So that's the Sleepy Hollow movie with the Headless Horseman, and also The Wind in the Willows with the frog. Those films were actually both supposed to be full-length features, but Walt said, stop animating and just do them as shorts and put them together. Kind of a weird combo, but they both have tragic stories. Do any of those sound familiar to y'all?
Absolutely not.
No.
I was like, I have no idea what these titles are.
Yeah, so those were films 6 through 11. So a lot of folks just kind of skip those and they go straight to 1950s Cinderella.
Yeah.
Now, Cinderella was actually...
Get into the blonde thing.
Well, no, so Cinderella was... I will say that. But in the film... if they did not do well with Cinderella, Walt Disney Animation was going to have to shut down.
Yeah.
And thankfully, thank their lucky stars, the Cinderella did succeed. Now, there's definitely a difference in the quality of style between Cinderella and Snow White. Snow White, again, more detailed. Cinderella, less so.
Yeah. Which gave them a big opportunity to change her appearance a lot.
So yeah, what Johnny's referring to in India, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but Cinderella, what color is her hair?
Blonde.
And so actually, when Cinderella was first animated in 1950, she actually had strawberry blonde hair, so more of this orange type of color. But over the years,
and a white dress.
Yeah, her blue dress.
A white dress.
Yeah, the blue dress that she's always seen in was really not blue. It was pretty close to white. It was this very, very, very light silver, almost a white dress. But we always picture her as blonde hair with a blue dress. Over the years, they in marketing materials and in re-releases of Cinderella, they made her blonder and blonder and blonder to where we now think of her with the yellow hair. And in the promo materials, her dress is baby blue and not this almost white color that Johnny's talking about. So that's really interesting. So Cinderella did start the Silver Age of animation, which ran from 1950 all the way until 1967 when Walt Disney died. And that was The Jungle Book was the last film that he worked on. Actually,
The Jungle Book was a great movie.
Yeah. So those films in that period comprise Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, The Sword and the Stone, and The Jungle Book. Okay, so Johnny, you said Jungle Book's a great movie. Do you have any others in that group that really stand out to you?
The Jungle Book and trying to think. Wait, let me see the list.
Yeah. Here we go. We've got an iPad here we're passing around that has the list so we can refer to them. There's a lot of those movies are all great. Those are movies that I grew up watching time and time again on the Disney Channel, which was great. India, can you think of which ones you like without seeing the list?
I remember watching Lady and the Tramp a lot.
Oh yeah, Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, Lady and the Tramp is a great movie.
Beautifully animated.
Mm-hmm.
The actually, so The Princess and the Frog, which came out in 2009. Jumping ahead here, but
Sorcerer and the Stone. Yeah.
Oh, Sword in the Stone.
Yeah, Sword in the Stone. Yeah.
Wow, that surprised me. Jungle Book and Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
Lady and the Tramp for you. Do you want to look at the list, India?
Sure.
Okay. We're going from Cinderella to Jungle Book here.
Mhm.
But with Princess and the Frog, when Disney had a 5-year gap between their traditionally animated films, and so Princess and the Frog was the first one that they had done in a half decade. When animators looked to see how they wanted to design the film, they looked to Lady and the Tramp and Bambi for animation inspiration. Okay, India, you looked at that list.
Yeah.
What do you have to report?
The other one I watched a lot was Alice in Wonderland.
Oh yeah, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
That one's fun. That one actually gained a lot of popularity in the 1960s because everyone was doing drugs then, and they thought it was trippy. So, yeah, each of these films are really classics. Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan.
I wasn't a fan of Peter Pan. I don't know why. It just wasn't interesting. Like never, like all that stuff just wasn't interesting. I was like, I don't want to. And the sad part about all that is, so if you guys didn't know, I was a dancer, and this was before I went in the competition. We did this one big recital, and this is Deborah Mason School of Dance, and she wanted to put this whole production together. Instead of the recital where like the little kids will do this and like the older kids will do this dance, and different classes will have their own little dance. We did like the whole like Peter Pan soundtrack, so we kind of almost played it out like a play or a musical. And so I was Captain Hook, which was ridiculous. So I had a whole bunch of numbers, which was like the hardest thing I've done, but then it prepared me for a competition team. But I think that's what did it for me, because we watched the movies and then we, really had to like embody the characters and stuff. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't intrigue me like at all. Like I was kind of rooting for Captain Hook in the movie because I was just like, oh my God, just kill him already. Like, because they were just so annoying. It's like, you don't want to grow up. Like, I'm just like, look, like you're annoying because like you need to hit puberty or something because your voice is super high and it's really annoying the crap out of me.
And that's why we love the villains though.
Yeah.
No, I would say my favorite of that bunch is Sleeping Beauty. I watched that one time and time again as a kid, but
she's like not in the movie.
She isn't, but the movie is still so Aurora only is in the film for about 17 minutes, which is less than any other Disney princess.
Was that because of was that the intentions of the movie? Wasn't it something that had to do with the voice actor or whatever, there was difficulties or something like that?
I'm not sure about that history, but what I do know is that Disney had struggled with Sleeping Beauty. They kept having to postpone it, and
I know it was super hard for them to animate the princes all the time. That was difficult for them.
So because the style, if you look at the style of Sleeping Beauty, it's very stylized, angles, etc. In fact, Pocahontas in 1995 kind of has a similar look and feel to Sleeping Beauty in terms of that style.
Pocahontas.
When we'll talk more about that very soon. But, so I love Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, Lady and the Tramp. Those were probably my favorite three from that group, but I loved them all. So after Walt died, they moved into an era which is called sometimes the Bronze Age, and a lot of times it is called the Dark Age of Disney, because these films either didn't do well or were received poorly. Some of them did get okay reviews. So the Aristocats was the first in the Dark Age. The Aristocats. So a lot of people say that this movie is 101 Dalmatians with cats.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
So Jazzy and whatnot, but that was the Aristocats. Then Robin Hood, which critics hated that movie, but audiences love it. Love Robin Hood.
Yeah, Robin Hood's a great movie.
Yeah, I really like that. Did you ever see that one, India?
Nope.
No, okay. Then, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So this was actually 3 shorts that were originally done, and then they put them all together into one movie. So the shorts were actually done when Walt Disney was still alive. So in a way, this movie is actually Walt Disney's last. the 3 shorts were were made when Disney was still alive. Then they just animated a couple scenes to tie the story together. So that's the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. There's been a lot of Pooh movies over the years, but only 2 are actually.
India, grow up.
But only 2 are actually in the official Disney canon, and that's the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh from 1977, as well as Winnie the Pooh from 2011. So we'll talk more about that later, though. Okay, The Rescuers, not The Rescuers Down Under, but The Rescuers. That was with a little girl named Penny and the mice. The Fox and the Hound came out in 1981. The Black Cauldron in 1985. That was Disney's biggest flop to date. Again,
The what?
The Black Cauldron. So this movie, it is dark and it is not well done. Although every time I watch it, I want to really love it. But one of the characters actually commits suicide. In the movie, he does it for the better of things because he's sacrificing himself, but he's also kind of a depressed character anyways. He's like, I have no friends, and then he jumps off a cliff and dies. So
these are kids movies.
Yeah, so this
Disney's known for making adult jokes and content in the movie, even when it's for little kids. It's enough to go over the little kid's head, but the parents are like, what the hell?
So the Black Cauldron almost shut them down. It was actually the first Disney or animated movie to get a PG rating instead of a G rating. And Disney during the 80s, the movies were a lot of fantasy sort of things. And Disney was trying to do something that was dark and fantasy-like, and it just didn't work. In fact, before it was released, they had just gotten a new, president of Walt Disney Animation, and he went in and he chopped out a good chunk of the movie. It just wasn't going to work. And of course, it was too late to reanimate those scenes. And he tried to make it lighter. It ends up having this weird ending. And anyways, it is worth seeing because it is a dark piece of Disney history. I want to love it. I have nostalgia over it, but it's just not good. The Great Mouse Detective in 1986, and then Oliver and Company in 1988. So those were Disney's
flops.
Well, yeah, they're dark age. They're you could call them flops. Again, Robin Hood I think is easily the best one of that group. And then probably the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and
it's a great movie out of those ones, but as far as Disney movies, as like as a whole, it's not the best Disney movie.
No, definitely.
Best story, I think it's in up there with as far as the story, but the execution of the movie was not as.
And Disney also during this time was using this a Xerox style for animation, so that's why you see all the scratchy lines in this, because they were trying to do things faster, so they were using a Xerox version.
No, we need more man labor.
India, did any of those? Obviously, you guys hadn't heard of Black Cauldron. Any of those stand out to you?
Well, the only one I think I've seen is the Winnie the Pooh one. I don't think I've seen anything else.
Well,
I tried to avoid Winnie the Pooh, and I never related Winnie the Pooh with Disney. I don't know why. It's just it was not.
I always refer to now Winnie the Pooh as the original Toy Story, which is a controversial thing to say, but I do think it is. Okay, so
a little bit of Beyonce versus Michael Jackson kind of thing. That's the type of controversy. Yeah.
In 1989, A Little Mermaid made a splash onto the big screen and into everyone's hearts. The Little Mermaid, and that was the start of the Disney Renaissance. The Disney Renaissance was a period of 1989 to 1999 when Disney had both critically and commercially successful films, and you all know these ones. Okay, these are what everyone loves to talk about. The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under. That one kind of stands out as not being what people talk about. But it did come after Little Mermaid. And then Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh my god.
Who?
What do you mean who?
I don't.
You've never seen that?
No.
Hercules.
I don't
Oh, I love Hercules. Hercules. Yeah, okay,
Stop.
I'm sorry. I'm just.
Mulan. Tarzan. And those are
I love Tarzan.
So those are the 10 films from that era. We definitely heard Johnny's reactions. India, which were your favorites from the Renaissance?
Probably Mulan.
Mulan, which just celebrating its 20th
Mulan is
anniversary.
just so confusing. It's like
I mean, I wasn't really into like Hercules or the Hunchback of Notre Dame, so like, and then princesses, kind of, but like.
all I can say is Ursula was one bad bitch. I mean, I'm just saying because she was that was another movie. It was the same thing like with Peter Pan. It was just I was rooting for the bad guy because I was like, oh, these characters are annoying. Like, okay, she doesn't want to listen to daddy, and then she wants to do her own thing that she ends up washing up on sea. Of course, this guy has to come out and help her because that's how all the Disney princesses movies happen. And whatever, and then she has to overcome all the it's the same pattern that's been done. You know, maybe because I've watched the movies out of order.
Yeah.
You know,
because that was the first one.
Yeah. And it's just, but I was just like, look, and I think the first time I saw that was on the Disney Channel, and they used to play that on loop. Like, oh, you didn't see this? Oh, we're gonna put it on right after, and they would just loop that. It was, oh man. So, and then the music was great at first, and then if I heard Under the Sea one more time, I was about to punch the wall. like I just, but Mulan, I was just confused, just as far as just like, what? Like, she's not going to be able to, like, do what? Like, and so she's dressing up as a man, and then, like, that was still too much going on.
It's so funny. And
then Pocahontas. Oh, nope.
So that's your least favorite, Pocahontas.
I mean,
and you haven't seen Hunchback.
I haven't seen Hunchback. So why I don't like Pocahontas is because I watched it a lot. I think I watched that when I was like 13, and so like I understood history, and like I love history, so I was just like, why does she look like she's like 26? Like Pocahontas was like 13. Like, and they just romanticized the whole thing and gave her these like huge breasts all of a sudden. Like it was too much, and like they kind of made her look like she was like a damsel in distress, like she didn't know what she was doing. Like it was a lot of just like,
Of course, Pocahontas is my favorite, so I disagree wholeheartedly with everything there. But we'll go into it in a sec. But India, what was your least favorite of that group?
You better not say Tarzan.
No. I mean, I don't think I have a least favorite.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah, those films are great. I think that
great.
I mean, the only one I didn't really like was probably The Hunchback of Notre Dame because it was pretty boring to me.
Yeah, I'd say every single one of those films are good. I just happen to have some favorites more than others, and I would say that some are probably even better than my favorites, but doesn't keep the ones from being my favorites. I like the serious ones, so I like Pocahontas and Hunchback and also Tarzan. Those ones with they're feel a little more adult than the others. I always liked those. In Pocahontas, there was something I've heard Pocahontas described as sort of an acquired taste. So maybe like your first time having coffee.
A taste. It's not true. Like, it's just not true. Like,
we should totally do another podcast on just Pocahontas. 'Cause, yeah.
I get it as a movie. Yes, it's very nice, but it's like the story is not true. Like,
and I do understand that, and I understand people. I went into it already knowing the history, but I really loved the Romeo and Juliet sort of aspect. It's the only Disney animated film that has a sad ending, apart from maybe The Fox and the Hound. Okay. Well, after Tarzan, Disney decided to start experimenting because they'd been accused of what you said earlier, a formula. They were accused of, you guys just keep putting out the same movie every year.
Yeah.
So do something different. Which they had actually started to do with Mulan and Tarzan. Those were a little different from the ones that came before it. But in 2000, they released Fantasia 2000. Now, this era that we're going into is sometimes called the post-Renaissance. Sometimes it's the second Dark Age. Sometimes it's the experimental era. But this goes from 2000 up until about 2009. And this included Fantasia 2000, Dinosaur, or Dino Boar, Dino Snore. No? Okay.
Who?
The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, I like that one.
That one is funny.
Who?
Are you kidding? He turned into a llama.
Who?
Oh my god.
It's funny. I'll
let you get through because we gotta wrap up soon.
We'll go through the list.
Yeah.
Atlantis, The Lost Empire, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, Home on the Range.
Who?
Chicken Little was Walt Disney's first computer animated movie.
Oh, but Chicken Little felt definitely like a DreamWorks movie to me, though.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those Disney movies that did not seem Disney. But maybe that was their goal. It seemed a lot more, even the whole concept just seemed DreamWorks. It did.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were going for. So Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, which Johnny said is you love that one. And Bolt.
Oh, that was definitely a DreamWorks thing too. I'm sorry, that seemed really dream. Hi, like thanks. What's up? What? Like not messing up the show.
The disrespect.
So okay, so those ones that was kind of the
Bolt was cute. I guess.
And again, I think
it was good for one time watching, maybe two times. I'm not going to try to watch that again.
I'd say a lot of those movies in that era were flawed. Some of them were good and had
that was
heart,
DreamWorks. Like that was sorted into my brain like DreamWorks.
I enjoyed like Meet the Robinsons. I enjoyed
Meet the Robinsons was fantastic.
Enjoyed Brother Bear, Lilo and Stitch, and Emperor's New Groove, and Bolt.
Lilo and Stitch wasn't a TV show?
Yeah.
It became a TV show, but it was an animated film first.
So I definitely didn't see them. Maybe I did see the movie. And it just was...
Wasn't there like two?
Yeah, there were like two or three.
So they milked that series like they did, like DreamWorks did to Shrek.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They milked that down.
India, your favorite from that era was Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah.
And any of those that you didn't see? Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
This is the list where usually when you throw the names out there, people are like, what? I haven't seen that. What is that?
I think the only one was Dinosaur.
Yeah, Dinosaur. What the hell is that?
Fantasia and something Atlantis.
Oh, Atlantis.
I thought you said Atlanta at first, and I was like, Atlanta?
So those ones that you named are the ones you hadn't seen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thankfully, Disney went back to
the
being
formula.
Being Disney. They did go back. They did go back to the formula with The Princess and the Frog. So this is the start of what they called...
That wasn't as formula as I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry. I was disappointed in that movie. Like, disappointed. I already told Frank about this. I just have a hard time processing that the Black Disney princess, the only Black Disney princess, the first Black Disney princess, her aspiration in life is to work. All the other ones, they do all these other things, or they're like, oh, I left my sandal and he found me and he came to look for me. She's the one the black one has to kiss the frog. and then she becomes the frog, and she's the frog throughout the whole movie, and then she wants to open up a restaurant. Like, I don't know.
She does have 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But this made her. Yeah, this was the start of the revival period, and Princess of the Frog was supposed to do really, really well, and it didn't because it opened up the weekend before Avatar. And
but
also,
like Avatar's like who?
yeah, now no one thinks
Right.
about Avatar. Okay, so this era, the revival era, which is what we're in currently, comprises The Princess and the Frog, Tangled. Now, because Princess and the Frog didn't do so well, Tangled, which was formerly titled Rapunzel, they changed the name of it to Tangled because they were afraid that the reason why people
Princess
didn't
and
go
the
see
Frog.
Princess and the Frog was it sounded too girly. So they had to get rid of any girly connotations. And they changed Rapunzel.
If they named
to
Princess
Tangled.
and the Frog Nappy and the
No,
Stop.
they didn't. They could have called it like Smacked or Smooched, something like this, right? Okay, then Winnie the Pooh, the 2011 version, which was the last hand-drawn animated movie Disney has done.
wait, what movie?
Winnie the Pooh from 2011.
Oh,
Then Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, I like
that was
Wreck-It Ralph.
DreamWorks to me. In my sorry,
Wreck-It Ralph. Frozen.
I
Big-
like Frozen.
Big Hero 6. Zootopia.
Oh, I don't
Zootopia
like
was
that.
nice.
And Moana.
Moana was nice, but Zootopia was really great as far as the movie and the message of the movie. How everyone comes in different shapes and sizes, and people have different things. Like just that whole concept. It was a great movie. That was really well done. Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero, like that. Just it was all DreamWorks thing. Like it just seemed like a. And now they're coming out with Wreck-It Ralph 2. Like it just it. Sometimes you can just leave one movie the way it is and just leave it alone, and it's.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Wreck-It Ralph 2 comes out this
Oh, Kim Kardashian,
Thanksgiving.
like, and who's gonna see that on things that
Me.
There you go. India first in line.
Alright, what?
And then Frozen 2
Oh,
next,
I-
Ugh.
year.
I didn't. I tried my hardest to not see Frozen 1. I really did. Frozen 1 sucked. I mean, no. I didn't like the movie. I guess it's like the first Disney movie that like features kind of 2 princesses, kind of like the sisters. They're technically both princesses, but really, what the one that says sings "Let It Go" is really the princess, but
She's
like.
a queen.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the queen,
Nah.
and then the other one's the princess. But it's like, who cares? Like, just
Let it go.
let it go, let it go.
Don't hold it back
Bye.
anymore.
Oh my god.
But those are all great movies.
They
I love
they
those
shouldn't have
movies.
let that
Those
hit
are
the
all really good
theaters
movies.
at all. Disney, it's the songs that get them. I don't even think it's the movies. I think the songs get the kids. That's what it is. And
If they're catchy, yeah, they'll be singing it
Yeah.
and annoying their parents.
mm-hmm.
Well, I know we don't have a lot of time left.
don't.
Johnny. I just want real quick here from you. So again, there's 20 Pixar movies. We don't have to break these down. Everyone kind of knows what the Pixar movies are. What are your top Pixar movies?
Pixar, Incredibles.
Incredibles, and if you had to name 2 more to go in like your top 3.
Jeez, Meet the Robinsons is just Disney.
Yep.
All right, Pixar, and then Toy Story, and just all of them as a collective,
Mhm.
except for not even gonna watch that.
Oh, Toy Story 4.
I'm not watching
Yeah.
Toy Story 4. That's just not happening.
That's-
And Cars.
wow. Cars.
Yeah.
First one, not the second one, not third one, not
There's
the
3?
fourth, fifth. Yes.
Wow.
The Cars 1, bet they should just left it like that. Cars 1.
And you hated Inside Out.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a mental health issue for kids. They're going to think that there's little creatures running in their head controlling their emotions. Like, that is not okay. Like, there needs to be no.
Okay, India, your favorites and your least favorite Pixar movie.
I like Inside Out, The Incredibles, and Toy Story.
Nice. Okay, my favorite Pixar. Oh, what's your least favorite though?
I don't know that many Pixar movies.
Okay,
So
I'll tell you my
Cars 2, 3, Toy Story 4.
And a lot of people don't like Brave.
Frozen.
Oh, I don't like Brave.
Brave sucked. Sorry.
Okay. So my top list for Pixar's movies would be Coco,
Yeah.
Ratatouille,
Oh, Ratatouille is a great movie.
Wall-E,
Yeah.
and then A Bug's Life. I love A Bug's Life. I think
I'm
it's
sorry.
underrated, Bug's Life. And then for fifth place, I'd put Ty as Brave and Up. My least favorite.
Oh, Up was a great movie. Okay, Up and Cars is in the same category because those are just great movies. And so glad they're not going to do an Up 2. No, isn't Up DreamWorks?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I couldn't tell you what my least favorite is because I actually haven't seen some of these Pixar movies. I haven't seen any of the Cars movies. I haven't seen
Cars 2, Cars 3,
Okay,
Frozen
yeah.
2, Frozen 1,
Those Frozens are the Disney.
Toy Story 4.
Ay. Okay, well that's all I have. There's so much
All
more we can
right.
talk about. But
Yeah.
we got to wrap up.
All right, so thank you for tuning in to Generations.
Tuning in, get it? Tune cartoons.
Shut up, Frank. Thank you for tuning in to Generation Savage on the Kickback Network. And is there a reason why you're laughing?
No.
Oh, well, that's what I thought. All right, see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh boy.